This episode of RetroBlasting is brought to you by Yojo Outlet and Museum Center. With over 6,500 vintage toy parts available on eBay every day, Yojo Outlet is the best source, not just for G.I. Joe parts, but for any toy line you can think of. We've been buying from them for years, and when we see that Cobra logo underneath the item, we know we're getting accurate descriptions and fast, reliable shipping. We weren't paid for this endorsement. We weren't given free stuff for this endorsement. We just like Yojo Outlet that much. Yojo Outlet is not a chop shop. They know vintage toys, and when it comes to vintage toys, knowing is the entire battle. We are back from Dragon Con, and finally we have a new restoration to embark on, which is really exciting because this is the beginning of a restoration series. We can't do this in one part, we can't do this in two parts. That's because this is the legendary U.S.S. Flagg aircraft carrier from G.I. Joe, and I didn't even know where to begin because the thing is 7.5 feet long. I can't fit it in here. I can't fit it downstairs really, except for the one display area. So I thought I'd start with the hardest to find piece, which is the megaphone or bullhorn. We were fortunate enough through Chris Cooper at Yojo Outlet and Museum Center to get one of the bullhorns from the Flagg right here. We had another one, but this one was in really bad shape. This one had come from a lot of parts that we had gotten while working on gathering up the parts we needed to restore the actual playset itself. As you can see, common problems with the Flagg bullhorns. They have chrome pieces that tend to rust if you leave them out in non-climate controlled environments. Like this one must have been left in a shed. This speaker is completely rusted. I mean, this is just really, really crusted on rust. What that means is a lot of people don't check for this kind of damage before they throw a 9-volt battery into one of these and then fire it up. That's not good because there are stories of these shorting out because these circuit boards, have solders on them, and if these circuit boards like this one are rusty, then you're in a really bad situation. You can actually start a fire inside the megaphone. These screws right here, for example, very, very rusty coming out of this piece. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to set this one to the side, and I'm going to disassemble this one, which came from Yojo Outlet and Museum Center. And this one is in much better shape, so we're going to assess it and see if we can put this one back into working order. Again, I'm not going to throw a 9-volt in this and turn it on until I've assessed it and I know that everything is working. So let's get started. You just need a Phillips head screwdriver, and we're going to pop the front off of the bullhorn. These were actually just generic BMX accessories that were made by another company. And Hasbro licensed the product and then put their own G.I. Joe specialized soundboard in the clicker box, which is attached via this phone cord looking thing. But the trick is finding an actual G.I. Joe one, because if the stickers have fallen off and you see it on eBay on its own and you say, oh, it's the U.S.S. Flagg megaphone, and then you get it and it just makes generic noises, then you've gotten one of the standard BMX ones and not the G.I. Joe version. Okay, so this cover comes off, and now we have this speaker grill on the front, and then the speaker is right inside. I just wanted to show you that, to show you how to access the speaker in case yours is blown. This one looks like it's a little pressed down. It could be blown. I'm seeing a little bit of damage here, so we might not be out of the woods yet. But you turn it around to the back, pop this open. This is your battery compartment for your 9-volt. And immediately we can see that we have another problem, which is the 9-volt connector is busted. So this means we're going to have to replace this connector. That's going to involve some soldering and some tedious work. The speaker, as I said, looks like it could be blown on this edge right here. I'm not sure how we're going to deal with that. Now let's check the speaker box itself. As you can see, this one still has the G.I. Joe sticker on it, which is nice. The chrome on the clips that attach it to the Flagg are in good shape. That's good because these tend to corrode and get real rusty. I think the other clip is right, where did I put it? Right here somewhere. Either way, there it is. Nope, it disappeared on me. Anyway, these there it is. These really tend to get rusty, so it's good to have these clean ones. All right, so let's take this one apart. The way you do that is there's one screw at the back. And then you just gingerly pull this off. And inside is your circuit board. This one looks pretty clean compared to this one. So I think we're in good shape. This button here, I think it still works, but the contact feels pretty pressed in, so we'll have to test that later. But aside from the battery connector itself, this one looks like it would be safe to test. So what I'm going to do is put this switch assembly back together, get all that tightened up, and then deal with this and then put in a battery and see if it will activate. Alright, so we are set up to do the soldering on the new battery connector for the U.S.S. Flagg Bullhorn. I am not as good at soldering as my friend Tim, so Tim is going to do the soldering while I talk us through it. One of the things you need to know about good soldering is, first of all, if you're a kid watching this and you're under the age of 16, please don't do this without parental supervision. Secondly, what you want to know is you want to use the soldering iron to heat up the wire. What we're going to do is we're going to clip this bad 9-volt off. We've done that, so now the 9-volt connector is cut off, and we've bought brand new 9-volt connectors. And so yeah, we have a packet of those. They're not expensive. And so now we're going to solder the new wire, the new connector onto the wires. So Tim is stripping the existing wires right now to expose the copper wiring. You can get yourself a good set of wire cutters and strippers. It's all one tool. They're not expensive. And this is somewhat similar to the process that I used when I was repairing the Arco MCB1 for the video we did on that. I had to do some basic soldering there. Always remember when you're stripping these wires to strip them to the right length. You want to cut them to length, and then you want to make sure that you solder them red to red and black to black so that you don't screw up the circuit path. We also bought heat shrink tubing for this. We didn't want to just electrical tape it inside there because these Bullhorns are old and we wanted to repair it right. We have a whole set of these in different sizes. So what you do is you put the heat shrink on first before you do the soldering, because you're going to have to solder and then pull those over the connections. Alright, now that we have the wiring together, I guess it's time to put some liquid solder over them to secure the connection. So we have our soldering iron here, and we're just going to start heating up the wire first. We're not adding any solder yet. And this is where you really want to be careful, and you really want to have parental supervision if you're, younger. And maybe for some of you, even if you're older. Again, a little goes a long way, so don't overdo it. And we're just trying to evenly distribute that solder into the splice. Looks good. So now it's time to put the heat shrink over those exposed splices. And now it's time for the final bit of the process, which is heating this up so that it will. You want to be careful here because we don't want to melt any of the plastic of the vintage megaphone, but we also want that heat shrink to really, get a good grip around the wiring. So if you have a heat gun, that might be better. We didn't have a heat gun, but if you're real careful and you just, as you can see, passing by quickly, you're not holding the flame on the wire, you should be in good shape. We have the new 9-volt connector. Now is the time. So it's make or break. This could work, or we could start a fire. I don't know. We're going to see. Okay, which way is on? I don't even know which switch setting is on, so this could go one of two ways. I always hated 9 volts as a kid because the connector was always a pain in the butt. There we go. There we go. All right. I'm not going to put this into the unit. I'm just going to test it as it is right here. Hello? 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 I seem to hear something working. I think we've got it. Hello, 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 this is the flag, this is the flag, this is the flag. This is the Flagg aircraft carrier. I don't know if this microphone piece works all that well. It's kind of crap, this microphone piece. Kind of crap, kind of crap. Roger, kind of crap. But everything else is working great, so I'm going to call this a win. There is one more step for this bullhorn for the flag. That's going to be the stickers, but that's going to be the last step. That'll come when we get the full sticker set for the flag. That'll be the very last thing we do, and then 2 stickers will go on this bullhorn. So what you're seeing is the beginning and eventually the end of the flag restoration. So watch this space and stay tuned for the official part 1 of the flag restoration coming soon, thanks to Yojo Museum and Outlet Center.